Hello everyone, it's good to be back. I'm Abimbola Kiyomi Iliokoya on Now That You Are Married. On this episode, we'll be looking at the commonest thing in marriages now, and it is called abuse. Are you frowning? I'm frowning too. Everyone should frown at every form of abuse. Today, I want us to break it down, because when you talk about abuse, what comes to mind is, oh, one man is beating his wife, one wife is beating her husband. But there are other aspects of it that I want us to look at. Abuse is anything that you do to oppress or suppress your spouse. Anything you do deliberately to hurt your spouse, either physically, emotionally, psychologically, verbally, sexually, anything you do to inflict a hurt in the heart of your spouse is actually an abuse. Let's take it one after the other. Verbal abuse, that's the commonest one. Even when you were growing up, probably at one time or the other, you were abused by a friend, abused by your parent, abused by a teacher. When you begin to call your spouse names, when you begin to rain curses, when you begin to run down your spouse. You know, there are couples that they can't even talk to each other outside their home without giving a third party something to laugh about. That's an abuse. Even when your spouse does anything wrong, outside the four walls of your home, you're supposed to stomach it till you get home. Because the moment you begin to react, guess what? You're not just running down your spouse, you are running down yourself and your marriage. Verbal abuse. Looking at your spouse and calling the person good for nothing. Looking at your spouse and then seeing only the negativity, the negative aspect of that person. Looking at your spouse and forgetting every good thing you have ever enjoyed together. Especially running down your spouse in the presence of others. That is humiliation. That's verbal abuse. Another kind of abuse is emotional or psychological abuse. When you begin to manipulate the emotion of your spouse. When you say things either directly or indirectly to make your spouse feel bad. For example, you have had a bad day and then you are back. And you are telling your spouse, you are the reason, you see, if only you had allowed me leave home earlier. If only you have allowed me pack what I wanted to pack. Finding a way of transferring your bad experience to your spouse. That's emotional abuse. When you begin to do things that will make your spouse feel guilty for what he or she has not done. That's emotional abuse. Abuse in any form should be stopped, should be avoided. And how can we do this? The first two that we have talked about is you sit down and talk about it. And if you are the one that is abusing your spouse, you must stop. You must stop so that your marriage can work. Give your tongue control. It's not everything that you say. You don't abuse verbally. You don't abuse your spouse or even any other person. At every little thing that happens, you must control your tongue. Consciously fight against talking negativity. Make up your mind. Even when you're not a tout, even among the tout, is in the garage, is somebody away, and they are still laughing. That shouldn't happen in a marriage. You cannot call your spouse names and expect him or her to be happy with you. That's an abuse. Even if he or she does not talk, it is still an abuse. You are hurting the person. You are breaking the confidence your spouse has in him or herself. Then the one that we have read in the papers, physical abuse. That is the one that no one should stand. As much as you desire to remain married, as much as it is a good thing to be married for as long as both of you shall live, when it becomes physical, then things have to be done. Number one, we encourage temporary separation. for the other spouse, the one that is angered, to calm down. Because sometimes, in the process of talking back, this person has been cursing you. Why can you keep cursing me? No, don't bring my parents into this. What is it? Have I come here with my parents? And then he lands you a blow. Blah. The first thing you do is to zip your mouth. Even if he calls your great-grandfather names at that point, you do what? You zip up. And then it's either you talk about it. If it's still unrepentant, it is allowed that you be separated separately. For a short while. You be separated temporarily. And don't make the mistake of going to your parents' place. If it's a woman that is being abused, she's expected to go to her in-laws' place. Not that you move out of your marital home and then you're staying with a friend and then you're staying with your siblings and then you're staying with your parents. That will worsen the matter because it will just conclude, oh, you've gone to tell your people what happened. But if you go to his own people, then it means there's 75% tendency that you'll be able to resolve it and return to your home. Another thing you can do is for you to tell your spiritual heads, whether in the church or wherever you worship, so that they can call him to order. There are elders that can intervene so that they can call the spouse that is abusive to order. But physical abuse is the highest level of humiliation. When you begin to inflict injury on your spouse, you should think about it. If you are the one that's been abusing your spouse, think about it. Would you do that to your child? After all, it is partnership. You are in it together. Fine, your husband is the head of the home, but that does not make the wife a lesser human in that home. You must repent of it and make amends. Because you might end up in the eye of a tigress. You just slap one slim girl, you think she's slim, and then she lands you with straight blow that will remove your teeth. Every form of physical abuse, in fact, all forms of abuses should be stopped so that there can be peace, so that there can be joy, so that there can be harmony, especially when you have children in the home. It's the worst kind of damage that can be done to the emotions, to the psychology of children. They may not talk, and you might think they don't know anything. Even a 2-year-old child knows so much. Before you know it, the child will be moody. The child might become a bully. The child might end up talking to the teacher, and then you'll be washing your dirty linen in the public. Every form of abuse must be stopped and must be stopped now. Couples that are experiencing one form of abuse or the other need help. You need help. Don't just be quiet and just not help from just anywhere. You need help from the right source. We have marriage counselors, professional marriage counselors that can render help to you, that can give counsel that will make you get back on track. Ask yourself, what is it? What triggers the abuse? Especially the physical abuse. What is it that happens just before the abuse will begin? Is it as a result of anger? Is it anger from within the home or from outside the home? I know of a couple, when they got newly married, in the first year of their marriage, the husband threw a glass cup. She dodged. And I told her, see, I hope he will not end up breaking your head. The next time, he threw a small bottle at her. And the bottle actually hit her. And the contents spilled all over her. And then after that, different kind of slaps. Once someone that is abusive starts, there is high tendency that the person will not stop. Except help is sought for. You must seek for help together. Seek for help. Let someone that will be neutral, somebody that will not take sides, let such person come in and help you. Then may I tell you that it is only when you are alive that you can be married, dear. There is no marriage in graveyard. Then it means that if you have tried all that you can, you have sought for help everywhere, and your spouse is still abusive, then it's time for you to be wise. If you have had children, then you should be wise that at least you deserve to live for your children. If you don't have children, then you desire to advise yourself that you have to be alive first. It is when you are alive that you can do so many other things. So if it gets to its peak, please run for your dear life. But if you know it that this can still be controlled, then seek for help. Let people come in. Let counsel be sought for. And before you know it, it will go down, and then you begin to enjoy your marriage again. I don't want us to make an assumption that it is only men that you find abusing their wives. I've had a series of cases of wives abusing their husbands. Let's talk about the verbal. That's more with women. You called your husband good for nothing, and then he comes back with nothing. So it's your prophecy that is coming to pass. If you keep seeing him as a good for nothing, then he will bring nothing to you. There is power in your tongue. What you say is what you get. And let's leave that. We have a lot of women too, abusing their husbands psychologically, emotionally. For example, a man that just lost his job, and all you can tell him is, see, you are still sleeping. Your mates are out there looking for something to bring for their family. You just be sleeping. You be sleeping and sleeping. I don't know when you will change, and the only one bringing money in here. You are abusing him emotionally. You are telling him he's not capable of being your husband. Then why did you marry him? When he was bringing in the chicken, who were you sharing it with? Now that it's time to take your rice without meat, why should you complain? That's an abuse. And even physically, we have cases of women abusing their husband. A woman beat up her husband, blue, black. Nobody could believe. They were hearing shouts. By the early hour of the day, it was the man that had black eye. So we have a lot of women that are taking undue advantage of the simplicity of their husbands, especially when they know there is a pastor, he will not say it out. And they will pounce on him and beat him as if nothing would happen. And truly nothing has happened. But I just want to tell you that a day is coming that if you don't stop, that you too will look for that man and you will not find him again. Because he will just walk out of that marriage and that will be the end of it. But that's not our mission here. Our mission is to keep you married. Our mission is to ensure that every form of abuse is stopped. Our mission is to say that your marriage can be sweeter. Your marriage can be enjoyed. You don't have to endure it. You can actually enjoy it. And that is the essence of this program. That is the essence of it all. That now that you are married, you can remain married if only you desire and you do your best to work on it and ensure that there is no form of abuse, not from your end, not from the end of your spouse. An abusive marriage is a dented marriage. It's a marriage with a big crack. And many people are actually suffering in silence as a result of abuse by their spouse. I want to prick your conscience. If your spouse has been silent about it, that has been very magnanimous of your spouse. But don't see it that because your spouse is not talking about it to a third party because he or she is probably ashamed of it. Don't see it as a reason why you should continue. At least in the name of everything that is good, stop it so that there can be peace. Stop it. You see, someone that is not violent can actually be taught to be violent. If the abuse is not controlled, one day the person that is being abused might just overreact, that it might even end in loss of life. We have seen a lot of that in the news, even in Nigeria. A spouse that was under constant abuse, and the day the other party decided to retaliate, it ended in loss of life. And then they will say the person has committed murder. So I'm appealing to you, you need to stop it. And there's an aspect of abuse that we have not even looked at, and that's what we'll be looking at the next episode. Because it is also very, very bad. Sexual abuse. There is a lot of that going on. And you know, that's even worse because you can't talk about it. When you talk about it, people will not understand. But you that you are going through it, you know you are being sexually abused. I'm waiting for your questions, for your comments, for your contribution. Use your wealth of experience to help others. And you can get across through any of the media that it is being screened now. Get across. Don't be silent. You need someone to talk to. I'll be waiting. You just get across. Let it out so that you can have peace to a larger extent. Thank you. I remain Abimbola Akinwunmi Ile-Okoya, now that you are married.